I sit on the edge of a stained mattress in a guest house on Soy Buakau, listening to the sounds of Pattaya waking up outside my window, motorbikes revving, dogs barking, the bass thump from a bar that never seems to close. The morning light filters through torn curtains, illuminating the cracks in the walls and the cockroach traps I've placed in every corner. This room cost me 250 baht per night, about $7. It's all I can afford now. My name is Jonathan Pierce, though everyone's always called me John. I'm 60 years old, and I'm living in a room barely bigger than a prison cell, surviving on odd jobs and the charity of other expats who take pity on the American guy who lost everything to a 22-year-old bar girl, the guy who became the cautionary tale whispered about in expat bars, the fool who should have known better. $350,000, that's what I lost, my entire life savings. The proceeds from selling my auto repair business in Milwaukee, the equity from my house, 40 years of working with my hands, building something, saving carefully, all of it gone. Transferred willingly to a girl young enough to be my granddaughter, invested in a business that existed for exactly 6 weeks before she stripped it clean and vanished. Nichapa Praisert. Everyone called her Noon, 22 years old with a smile that could make you forget every year of your age, every reason to be cautious, every warning sign that screamed this was too good to be true. She told me she was a student working part-time in a bar to help her family. She told me she wanted to leave the bar life if she found the right man. She told me I was different from all the other foreigners, kinder, more genuine, more worthy of love. Every single word was a performance, delivered with the kind of authenticity that comes from practice. She was a professional, and I was exactly the mark she'd been looking for, a 60-year-old widower, emotionally starved after 2 years of crushing loneliness, desperate to believe that someone could love me despite the age difference, despite the obvious transactional nature of meeting in a beer bar, despite every logical reason to be careful. 8 months. That's how long it took from the night we met until the morning I discovered the bar was empty, the bank accounts drained, and Noon had disappeared with another foreign man to start the process over again somewhere else. 8 months of believing I'd found my miracle. 8 months of thinking that at 60, life still had good things waiting for me. 8 months of ignoring every warning from other expats, because I was convinced Noon was different, that what we had was real, that love could actually bloom between a retired mechanic from Wisconsin and a bar girl in Pattaya. I was wrong. So catastrophically, completely wrong that I destroyed everything I'd spent a lifetime building. My business, my home, my financial security, my dignity. All sacrificed on the altar of believing that a 22-year-old girl could genuinely love a 60-year-old man she met in a bar. Now I'm here, in this guest house room that smells of mold and cigarette smoke, doing odd repair jobs for other expats, eating 1 meal a day, counting the months until my money runs out completely and I'm forced to make impossible choices about what comes next. I didn't lose everything because of love. I lost everything because I believed in it. Because loneliness makes you vulnerable in ways nothing else can. Because when someone makes you feel alive again, after years of numbness, you'll do anything, sacrifice anything to keep that feeling from slipping away. This is my story. This is how a lifetime of hard work and careful savings evaporated in 8 months. This is what happens when hope becomes a weapon, when affection is a strategy, when a young woman who never loved you convinces you that she does. I came to Thailand looking for a reason to live again. What I found was a reason to regret every decision I'd made since my wife died. The thing about losing your wife after 34 years of marriage is that you don't just lose her, you lose your entire identity. I wasn't just John anymore. I was John and Susan. We were a unit. We finished each other's sentences. We had routines and inside jokes and a shared history that stretched back to when we were both 23 and stupid and convinced we'd live forever. Susan died in March 2 years ago, ovarian cancer. She went from diagnosis to gone in 7 months. 7 months of watching her fade, of holding her hand through chemo, of pretending to be strong, while inside I was breaking apart. When she died, I didn't know how to be just John anymore. I'd forgotten how. I tried to keep going. I had the auto repair business Pierce & Sons, though neither of my sons had any interest in taking it over. Marcus was a software engineer in Seattle. Tyler was a teacher in Denver. Good kids, but they'd chosen different paths. The garage had been my life for 38 years. Started it with Susan's encouragement when I was 25. Built it from a 2-bay operation to a proper business with 6 mechanics and a steady clientele. But after Susan died, the garage felt empty. Everything felt empty. I'd go through the motions showing up, doing the paperwork, managing the staff, but my heart wasn't in it anymore. The guys noticed. Customers noticed. I was just existing, not living. The house was worse. Every room reminded me of Susan. Her books still on the shelves, her coffee mug still in the cabinet, her garden outside slowly dying because I didn't know how to care for it the way she had. Some nights I'd wake up and reach for her, forgetting for a moment that she was gone. The realization hit fresh every time. Marcus and Tyler called regularly, worried about me. They suggested I sell the house, move closer to one of them, but I couldn't. That felt like giving up, like admitting Susan was really gone and never coming back. It was Tyler who first mentioned Thailand. He'd taken a vacation there a few years back, came back raving about the beaches and the food and how affordable everything was. "Dad, I'm not saying move there," he'd said during one of our calls, "but maybe take a trip, get away from Milwaukee, see something different." I dismissed it at first, but the idea kept circling back. I started researching online, YouTube videos of American expats in Thailand, forums about retiring in Southeast Asia, Facebook groups where men my age talked about starting over, finding peace, living comfortably on Social Security in a place where the weather was warm and the cost of living was a fraction of what it was in the States. What caught my attention weren't the posts about cheap living or beautiful beaches. It was the posts about companionship, man after man talking about Thai women who didn't judge them for being older, who valued stability and kindness over youth and physical perfection. Men who'd been lonely back home finding partners who actually wanted to be with them. I'm not proud to admit this, but that's what hooked me. The possibility that someone might want me again, that I might not have to spend the last decades of my life alone, sleeping in a bed that felt too big, eating meals in silence, slowly fading into irrelevance. By November, 8 months after Susan died, I'd made up my mind. I was going to sell everything and move to Thailand. Start completely over. Find a reason to keep living instead of just waiting to die. Marcus and Tyler were concerned, but supportive. "If it'll make you happy, Dad, then go for it," Marcus said. "Just be smart about it. Don't do anything impulsive." I sold the garage in January for $420,000. It was worth more, but I wanted a quick sale. I sold the house in February for $280,000 after paying off the mortgage. With my savings and Susan's life insurance, my total liquid assets came to about $760,000, more money than I'd ever had at one time, enough to live comfortably in Thailand for the rest of my life if I was careful, enough to start over, build something new, maybe even find someone to share it with. I kept my truck, a Ford F-250 I'd owned for 12 years, figuring I'd sell it right before leaving. I packed 2 suitcases with clothes and essentials. Everything else I sold, donated, or threw away. 40 years of accumulated possessions reduced to 2 bags. The night before my flight, I sat in the empty house one last time. All the furniture gone, just echoes and memories. I thought about Susan, about whether she'd approve of what I was doing. I wanted to believe she'd want me to be happy, to find life again instead of just waiting to join her. I boarded the plane to Bangkok on March 15th, exactly 2 years after Susan died. I felt nervous and excited and terrified all at once, like I was either making the best decision of my life or the worst. I wouldn't know which until later, much later. By the time I figured out the answer, it would be too late to change anything. The money would be gone, the business would be gone, the house would be gone, and I'd be living in a $7 guest house room, working odd jobs to survive, trying to figure out how everything went so catastrophically wrong. But that morning, boarding that plane, I believed. I believed that Thailand would save me, that I'd find peace, maybe even love, that 60 wasn't too old to start over. I believed so completely, and that belief destroyed me. If this story impacted you, subscribe for more true accounts of romance, fraud, and love scams. Bangkok was overwhelming, too big, too crowded, too chaotic for what I was looking for. I spent 2 days there adjusting to the time zone and heat, then took a bus to Pattaya. That's where the American expats said to go if you wanted beach living without Bangkok's intensity. Pattaya hit me like a punch to the gut. The famous walking street at night was everything. The videos had shown neon lights, thumping music, girls in bikinis dancing outside go-go bars, tourists and expats stumbling drunk between venues. It was seedy and loud and completely foreign to anything I'd experienced in Milwaukee. But Pattaya was more than just walking street. There were quiet neighborhoods, local markets, beaches where Thai families picnicked on weekends. There was a real city underneath the tourist chaos. I found a serviced apartment near Jomtien Beach, 12,000 baht a month for a studio with a kitchen and balcony. About $350, less than I'd paid for a week's worth of groceries back home. My first few days were spent just adjusting. The heat was intense, even in March, sticky, humid, making my shirts cling to my back within minutes of going outside. The food was incredible but sometimes unpredictable. I spent one night hunched over the toilet after eating street food my stomach wasn't ready for. I met other expats at a bar that catered to Americans. Most were friendly, eager to share advice about visa runs, recommended doctors, where to get Western food if I got homesick. Some were clearly sex tourists, making crude jokes about renting girlfriends. Others were married to Thai women and seemed genuinely happy. One guy, a retired cop from Boston named Frank, pulled me aside during my third night there. "You just get here?" he asked. "Few days ago. Word of advice, brother. Be careful with the bar girls. They're sweet and they'll make you feel like a king, but most of them are working. Don't fall in love. Don't send money for family emergencies. Don't invest in businesses. Keep it simple, pay for their time, enjoy the company, but keep your wallet and your heart separate." I nodded and thanked him, but inside I was a little offended. I wasn't some naive kid. I was 60 years old. I'd run a successful business for almost 40 years. I knew how to read people, how to spot when someone was trying to take advantage. Famous last words. It was my 5th night in Pattaya when I met Noon. I'd been walking around Soi Diana, a street lined with smaller beer bars rather than the big go-go clubs. The atmosphere was more relaxed, just open-air bars with seating, pool tables, dartboards, and girls who worked as hostesses. I stopped at a place called Smile Bar. Nothing special about it, plastic chairs, a few tables, a counter with beer coolers, a TV playing Thai music videos. 3 girls were sitting at the bar, looking bored. When I sat down, one of them came over immediately. "Hello, what you want drink?" "Just a Chang, please." She brought the beer, opened it, then lingered. "You want lady drink? I sit with you?" This was the game, I knew. They asked for lady drinks, watered, down cocktails that cost 3 times what a beer cost. The bar got most of the money, the girl got a small commission, and you got company. It was transactional but straightforward. "Not right now, thanks," I said. "I just wanted to drink my beer and observe." She shrugged and went back to the counter. But then, another girl approached younger than the first, with a shy smile and nervous energy. She didn't ask for a drink. She just said, "You alone? You want talk?" "Sure," I said, surprised by her directness. She sat down across from me. "My name Noon. What your name?" "John. Nice to meet you." We talked for maybe an hour. Her English was decent, better than most bar girls I'd encountered so far. She asked where I was from, how long I'd been in Thailand, whether I liked Pattaya. She told me she was 22, from a village in Aisan province, came to Pattaya to work and send money to her family. "You work here long?" I asked, gesturing to the bar. "Only 6 months. I don't like too much, but I need money for my family. My father's sick. My mother tried to take care, but she need help." She said it matter-of-factly, not like she was asking for sympathy or money, just stating facts. I appreciated that. What struck me most was how different she seemed from the other bar girls. She wasn't overtly flirty or suggestive. She didn't push for lady drinks. She just talked to me like a person, asking genuine questions, laughing at my stories about life in Wisconsin, sharing small details about her own life. When I got up to leave around 10 p.m., she walked me out. "You come back?" she asked. "Maybe. Probably. I work here most nights, 7 p.m. to midnight. If you come back, I am happy to talk again." I walked back to my apartment feeling something I hadn't felt since Susan died, interested in someone. Not in a creepy old man lusting after young woman way, just interested. Noon had seemed genuine, sweet, different from what I'd expected. I went back to Smile Bar the next night, and the night after that, and the night after that. Each time, Noon would light up when she saw me come in, would sit with me for hours, talking and laughing. I'd buy her lady drinks. It felt like the polite thing to do, her way of earning while keeping me company. But she never pushed for more drinks, never asked me to take her out of the bar, never hinted that I should give her money. By the end of my first week in Pattaya, I was completely enchanted. Not in love, not yet, but enchanted by this young woman who seemed to see me as more than just another drunk tourist with money, who laughed at my jokes, who remembered things I'd told her, who made me feel, for the first time in 2 years, like someone actually wanted to spend time with me. I should have listened to Frank's warning, should have kept my wallet and my heart separate, should have recognized that Noon was doing exactly what she'd been trained to do, make the customer feel special, create an emotional connection, lay the groundwork for something more profitable, but I didn't see it. Or maybe I didn't want to see it. Because for the first time since Susan died, I felt something other than crushing loneliness. And that feeling was worth more to me than caution, more than common sense, more than any warning from cynical expats who'd probably been burned themselves. I was hooked. And I didn't even realize it yet. After 2 weeks of meeting Noon at the bar every night, she suggested we go somewhere else. "I am tired of sitting in bar," she said. "Maybe we can go restaurant? Or beach? Like normal people, not bar girl and customer?" I was thrilled by the suggestion. It meant she saw me as more than just another customer. We agreed to meet the following afternoon, her day off at Jon Pierce Beach. Seeing Noon outside the bar environment changed everything. She wore simple jeans and a t-shirt, her hair pulled back, minimal makeup. She looked even younger in daylight, almost like a teenager. It made me acutely aware of our age difference. I was 60, she was 22, 38 years separated us. But when we walked along the beach, talking and laughing, the age difference seemed to melt away. Noon was smart and funny. She asked about my life in Milwaukee, about Susan, about my sons. She listened with genuine interest when I talked about the garage, about building a business from nothing. "You work very hard your whole life," she said. "Now you deserve to enjoy, to be happy, not alone." Those words hit me harder than they should have. Not alone. That's exactly what I'd been crushingly, devastatingly alone for 2 years. We had dinner at a seafood restaurant on the beach. Nothing fancy, just grilled fish and rice and beer. Noon insisted on paying for herself. "I have money from working," she said, but I wouldn't let her. After dinner, we walked more, and she told me about her life in Eisen, about growing up poor, about her father getting sick and the family having no money for proper medical care. "That's why I come Pattaya," she said. "I know bar work, not good job. My mother cry when I tell her, but what I can do? In village, no job, no money. Here, I can make good money, send home to family." "What would you do if you didn't have to work in the bar?" I asked. She thought about it. "Maybe have small business, coffee shop or clothing store, something where I am my own boss, not depend on customers, not have to smile when I don't want to." When I dropped her back at her apartment, a tiny room in a building that housed mostly bar workers, she kissed me on the cheek. "Thank you for nice day," she said. "You make me very happy. Different than work. Real." I drove my rented motorbike back to my apartment feeling like I was 25 again. Like life still had possibilities. Like maybe, just maybe, I'd found something real. Over the next month, Noon and I spent more and more time together. She'd still work at the bar some nights she needed the income, but on her days off, we'd explore Pattaya together. Temples, markets, beaches, restaurants. She showed me the Thailand that tourists never saw. She also introduced me to some of her friends, other bar workers, but also people from her village who'd come to Pattaya for work. Everyone was friendly, welcoming, treating me like I was Noon's boyfriend rather than some old guy paying for company. 2 months after we met, Noon stopped working at the bar entirely. "I don't want to work there anymore," she said. "I want to focus on you, on us. But how will you support yourself? What about sending money to your family?" She shrugged. "I have some savings. And if we are serious, maybe you can help small amount, just for rent, and send money home to my mother. I don't need much." I started giving her 15,000 baht a month, about $450, enough to cover her rent and send some money home. She protested at first, but I insisted. If she'd quit the bar to be with me, it was only fair that I help. She moved into my apartment a few weeks later. It transformed the space completely. She'd cook Thai meals I'd never heard of. She'd keep everything clean. She'd be there when I woke up and when I went to sleep. For the first time since Susan died, I wasn't alone. Noon started calling me her husband. "In my heart, you are my husband," she'd say. "Maybe someday we do the paperwork, but that is just paper. What matters is here." She'd point to her chest. I loved hearing that. Loved feeling like someone's husband again after 2 years of being nobody to anyone. 3 months into our relationship, Noon's mother got sick. Diabetes complications that required hospitalization. The local hospital in her village wasn't equipped to handle it. She needed to go to a bigger hospital in Udon Thani. The doctors say 45,000 baht for treatment. Noon told me, crying. My family don't have money. I have some savings, but not enough. I don't know what to do. 45,000 baht. About $1,300. Nothing to me, given what I had in the bank. How could I not help? I'll take care of it, I said. Let me transfer the money tomorrow. The relief on her face was overwhelming. She cried and thanked me over and over, saying I was an angel, that Buddha had sent me to save her family. I sent the money the next day. Noon showed me photos from the hospital, her mother in a bed, looking frail, her father sitting beside her, looking worried. She sent updates on the treatment, photos of her mother gradually improving. It felt good to help. This was what being in a relationship meant, supporting each other through crises. But that first medical crisis opened the door to more. A month later, Noon's younger brother needed money for school fees, 10,000 baht. Then her father's diabetes medication ran out and the family couldn't afford refills, 12,000 baht. Then the roof of the family home needed urgent repairs before rainy season, 20,000 baht. I sent the money every time. Over 4 months, I'd given Noon's family about 120,000 baht, about $3,600. Not a huge amount considering what I had, but it was adding up faster than I'd expected. Frank, the retired Boston cop, cornered me at the American bar one evening. Jon, I'm going to be straight with you. How much have you given this girl? We help each other, I said defensively. She takes care of me. I help her family. That's what partners do. That's what marks do, Frank said bluntly. Jon, I've seen this exact story play out a dozen times. Sick parents, brother needs school fees, house needs repairs, it's always the same script. They're testing you, seeing how much they can extract. Noon's not like that. They're all not like that until they are. How old is she? 22? And you're 60? Come on, man, you're smarter than this. I walked away angry. Frank didn't know Noon, didn't understand what we had. Just because he was cynical didn't mean everyone was being scammed. But a small part of me wondered if he was right. A small part of me noticed that the family emergencies always came with convenient timing. A small part of me recognized that I was doing exactly what every cautionary tale warned about. I pushed that part down, because believing the warnings meant accepting that Noon didn't really love me, that this whole relationship was a performance, that I was just another lonely old fool being manipulated by a young bar girl. And I couldn't accept that. Not when Noon made me feel valued and needed and loved for the first time in 2 years. Not when she called me her husband and cooked for me and made my apartment feel like a home. So I ignored the warnings, ignored the small voice of doubt, ignored every red flag waving right in front of my face. And when Noon came to me 5 months into our relationship with her dream of opening a small bar, a business where she could be her own boss, where we could build a future together, I didn't hesitate. I said yes. Yes to investing everything I had left. Yes to selling my truck back in Milwaukee to raise more capital. Yes to building our future together. Yes to the decision that would destroy me completely. Noon first mentioned the bar idea on a quiet evening in June. We'd been together for 5 months, and I'd been in Thailand for 4. We were sitting on my apartment balcony, drinking beer and watching the sun set over Jomtien Beach. Jon, can I tell you my dream? She asked. Of course. I want to have my own business, small bar, nothing big, but my own place where I am boss, where I don't work for someone else, don't depend on customers to tip. Just a nice, simple bar where people come to relax. She explained her vision, a small beer bar on a quiet swa, with maybe 10 seats, pool table, dartboard, nothing fancy. Just a neighborhood place where locals and expats could come for affordable drinks in a relaxed atmosphere. If I have my own bar, I can make good money, maybe 100,000, 150,000 baht per month profit. That's enough for us to live comfortable, send money to my family, save for future. How much would it cost to start? I asked. She pulled out a notebook where she'd been doing calculations. She'd clearly been thinking about this for a while. Lease deposit and 3 months advance rent, 90,000 baht. Renovations to make the space suitable, 120,000 baht. Bar equipment, refrigerators, furniture, 200,000 baht. Initial inventory of alcohol and supplies, 80,000 baht. Licensing fees, 50,000 baht. Miscellaneous and buffer, 60,000 baht. Total, 600,000 baht, about $18,000. That's my dream, she said softly. But it's just a dream. I could never afford it. Over the next 2 weeks, Noon kept talking about the bar. She'd found a perfect location on Swa Diana, not far from where we'd met. She'd walk me past it, showing me the empty space, talking about how she'd arrange everything, what she'd name it, how she'd run it honestly, without overcharging customers or pushing girls to extract money from lonely men. I know how bars work, she said. I know all the tricks, but I don't want to do business that way. I want honest bar where people come because they like it, not because they feel cheated. I started seriously considering it. $18,000 wasn't nothing, but it wasn't unreasonable for starting a business. And if it succeeded, Noon would have income. We'd have a shared investment, a future we were building together. But there was a problem I hadn't anticipated. The truck, my Ford F-250, was still back in Milwaukee, parked at my son Marcus's place. I'd planned to sell it eventually, but I'd put it off. Now I needed that money. I called Marcus and asked him to sell it for me, have the title transferred, handle the paperwork, wire me the proceeds. He was reluctant. Dad, why do you need this money? Is everything okay? Everything's fine. I'm just making some investments here. What kind of investments? I told him about the bar, about Noon, about building our future together. The silence on the other end of the line was deafening. Dad, you're 60 years old. She's 22. You met her at a bar in Pattaya, and now you want to invest your money in a business with her? Do you hear how this sounds? I know what it sounds like, I said, getting defensive. But you don't know her. You don't understand what we have. Then bring her home. Let us meet her. If this is real, if she loves you, she'll agree to that. She can't just leave Thailand, Marcus. She has responsibilities here. Her parents depend on her. Another long silence. Then, I'll sell the truck, Dad, but I'm begging you to think carefully about this. Don't invest everything in something you can't control. The truck sold for $22,000. Combined with money I'd saved and what I still had in my Thai bank account, I had about $25,000 liquid, roughly 750,000 baht. I decided to invest 800,000 baht in the bar, about $26,000. More than Noon had estimated needing, but I wanted a buffer. I kept the rest as emergency savings. There was one major issue. Thai law prohibited foreigners from owning businesses like bars. The license had to be in a Thai national's name. In this case, Noon's name. I don't like this, Noon said when we discussed it. Everything in my name means all risk on me. If business fail, I am responsible. Not fair to you. It's the only way it can work legally, I said. And I trust you. This is our business together, even if the paperwork says it's yours. We opened a business bank account in Noon's name. I transferred the 800,000 baht. We signed a lease on the space on Swa Diana, a 3-year agreement at 30,000 baht per month. We hired workers to do renovations. We ordered equipment and furniture. We stocked the bar with inventory. Noon's family came down from Eisen for the opening. Her parents, her brother, some cousins. They were warm and welcoming, thanking me for helping Noon, for being such a good man, for treating their daughter well. Her father shook my hand with tears in his eyes, saying I'd given his daughter a chance at a real future. It all felt so legitimate, so real. The bar opened in mid-August, 6 weeks after we'd started the process. We called it Noon's Place, simple and straightforward. Noon worked there every evening, managing operations, serving customers, building a regular clientele. I'd stop by most nights, helping where I could, enjoying watching her in her element. Business was decent. Not spectacular, but steady. We had regular customers, local Thai people, expats from the neighborhood, a few tourists who stumbled in. Noon handled everything professionally, didn't overcharge, didn't push for lady drinks or bar fines. Just an honest, friendly neighborhood bar. I felt proud. We'd built something together. This was proof that our relationship was real, that Noon wasn't just with me for money. She was working hard, building a business, creating our future. The bar operated for 6 weeks. 6 weeks of believing everything was working out, that I'd made the right decisions, that life at 60 could still be good. Then Noon told me she needed to go to Udon Thani for a week. Her father had been hospitalized again, serious complications from his diabetes. Her mother couldn't handle it alone. "I don't want to leave the bar," she said, "but I have to see my father. My assistant can manage while I'm gone. She's good, responsible. I trust her." "Of course you should go," I said. "Family comes first. I'll check on the bar every day, make sure everything's okay." She left on a Monday morning. I drove her to the bus station, kissed her goodbye, told her to focus on her father and not worry about the bar. That was September 27th. I never saw her again. For the first 3 days, everything seemed normal. Noon sent me photos from the hospital, updates on her father's condition. The bar operated as usual, her assistant managing competently. I'd stop by each evening, have a beer, chat with the regulars. On Thursday morning, 4 days after Noon left, I got a call from the landlord. "Mr. John, you need to come to the bar. Now, there is problem." My stomach dropped. "What kind of problem?" "Just come. Now." I rushed over on my motorbike. When I arrived, the landlord was standing outside with a Thai man I didn't recognize. The bar's sign had been removed from the front. Through the windows, I could see empty shelves. "What's going on?" I asked. "Miss Noon, she closed the bar," the landlord said. "She come yesterday with truck, remove everything. Furniture, equipment, stock, everything gone." I stared at him, not comprehending. "That's impossible. She's in Udon Thani. Her father's in the hospital." The landlord and the other man exchanged glances. "Mr. John, Miss Noon was here yesterday. I see her myself. She bring men with truck, load everything, drive away." I pushed past them and tried the door. Locked. The landlord unlocked it, and I walked into empty space. Everything was gone. The bar, the stools, the refrigerators, the pool table, the TV, the stock, everything. It was just an empty room, like we'd never been there at all. My hands were shaking as I pulled out my phone and called Noon, straight to voicemail. I tried again. Same. I sent line messages. Delivered but not read. "She also not pay rent," the landlord said. "She take deposit, but September rent not paid. You are partner, yes? You must pay." I need to check something," I said. I rushed back to my apartment and logged into the business bank account on my laptop. Empty. 0 baht. I checked the transaction history. Multiple large withdrawals over the past week, culminating in a final withdrawal 2 days ago that cleaned out the remaining balance. 800,000 baht. Gone. $26,000. But that wasn't all. I checked my personal account, the one I thought only I had access to. It showed $78,000. A week ago, it had shown $215,000. $137,000 had been transferred out in a series of withdrawals over the past 10 days. My entire savings. Everything from selling the garage, the house, the truck, gone. I tried calling Noon again and again. The number was disconnected. Her line account was deleted. Her Facebook was gone. Every trace of her had vanished. I sat on my apartment floor and felt my entire world collapse. $350,000. Everything I'd worked 40 years to build. Gone in 8 months to a 22-year-old girl I'd met in a bar. I went to the police the next day. I brought everything: bank statements, lease agreements, photos of the bar, screenshots of messages with Noon. The officer listened patiently, then delivered the verdict I should have expected. "Sir, this is civil matter, not criminal. Business was registered in Thai lady's name. She has legal right to close business, remove property. You gave her money voluntarily for business investment. No force, no weapon. Very difficult to prove fraud. But she lied to me. Her father wasn't even in the hospital. She planned this whole thing." The officer shrugged. "Maybe father really sick, maybe not. Hard to prove. And you signed no contract saying she cannot close business. This is why foreigners should not invest money in Thai girlfriend's business. Very common problem." He took my report, but his expression made it clear nothing would happen. Noon had probably used a fake ID or fake name. The accounts she'd transferred money to were likely already emptied and closed. She'd done this before, knew how to cover her tracks. I learned later through the Expat grapevine that Noon had run similar scams on at least 2 other foreign men in the past 3 years. Each time, she'd meet them at bars, build relationships, convince them to invest in businesses, then disappear with everything. She was a professional, and I'd been exactly the mark she'd been looking for. Frank found me at a cheap restaurant a week later. I was eating a 30 baht plate of rice because it was all I could afford. "I heard what happened," he said, sitting down. I'm sorry, Jon. I really am. You warned me. Warnings don't matter when you're lonely enough. Trust me, I know. My financial situation was catastrophic. I'd arrived in Thailand with $760,000. Now I had $43,000 left. At 60 years old, with no income beyond Social Security, which wouldn't start for another 7 years, that money had to last the rest of my life. I couldn't afford the apartment anymore. I moved to the guest house on Soi Buakau, 250 baht per night for a room that smelled like cigarettes and had stains I didn't want to think about. About $7 a night, $93 a month. I started doing odd jobs to survive. Small repair work for other expats, fixing motorbikes, air conditioners, appliances. I charged 300 to 500 baht per job, maybe making 10 to 15,000 baht on a good month. Barely enough to cover my room and food. My sons learned what happened. Marcus was devastated. Dad, please come home. You can stay with me. We'll figure this out. I can't, I said. I have nothing left. No money for a ticket, no place to go in Milwaukee. Everything's gone. I'll buy you a ticket, please. But I couldn't face it. Couldn't return to Milwaukee as the fool who'd lost everything to a Thai bar girl. Couldn't admit to everyone I'd known that they'd been right to be concerned, that I'd been stupid and naive and desperate. So I stayed. In my guest house room, doing repair jobs for survival, watching my remaining money slowly drain away while I tried to figure out what came next. I'm writing this 2 years after Noon disappeared with everything I owned. I'm 62 now, still living in the same guest house, still doing odd jobs to survive. My savings are down to $18,000. Maybe 3 more years before I'm completely broke. The police never found Noon. Through expat networks, I learned she'd run the same scam on another American 6 months after me convinced him to invest in a guest house, disappeared with $200,000. She's probably in a different city now, working on a new target, running the same playbook that worked so perfectly on me. I didn't lose everything because of love. I lost everything because I believed in it, because after Susan died, I was so desperately lonely that I convinced myself a 22-year-old bar girl could genuinely love a 60-year-old retired mechanic. Because when someone makes you feel alive again after years of numbness, you'll ignore every warning, sacrifice everything, destroy your entire future just to keep that feeling alive a little longer. I came to Thailand looking for a reason to live again. What I found was a lesson in how vulnerability becomes currency, how loneliness becomes leverage, how hope becomes a weapon that destroys everything you've spent a lifetime building. Frank was right. I should have kept my wallet and my heart separate, should have listened to the warnings, should have recognized that when a beautiful young woman shows interest in an aging man she met in a bar, there's always a reason, and it's never love. But I didn't listen. Because lonely people don't hear warnings, they only hear hope. And hope, I've learned, is the most expensive thing in the world when someone knows exactly how to sell it to you. I see men like the old me sometimes, fresh arrivals, excited about their new lives, talking about the amazing girl they just met who's different from the others. I want to tell them my story, show them what happens when you believe the illusion, but I don't, because they wouldn't listen any more than I would have. They'll learn the same way I did. By losing everything, by sitting in a $7 guest house room, doing odd jobs to survive, counting the months until the money runs out and impossible choices have to be made. I wanted a reason to live again. Instead, I found a reason to regret every decision I'd made since Susan died. I sold everything I owned for a 22-year-old's love that never existed. And now I'm paying the price. Every single day, I'm paying the price. And I'll keep paying until there's nothing left. If this story impacted you, subscribe for more true accounts of romance fraud and love scams. Jon's story is real. His pain is real. Share this video to help protect others. Your awareness could save someone's life savings and their future.